Next thing we need to talk about is the red card. Brian Moore's done a column on the Telegraph Rugby website this morning, which says that
don't hate the player, hate the game.
Frustration needs to go towards the law, not the referees. Exactly. Yeah, these are the laws that have been established. The law was followed by Jakob Paper going through the framework, and that was how he arrived at his decision. Charles, you're looking at me with a mild grimace. Let's chat about it. Can you see why Paper got to that point? But equally, do you think it was a bit mad?
Yes. I think that World Rugby here need to come out, and I know they don't like adjudicating individual decisions, but I think it would be very, very helpful for everybody if they came out and said what the correct decision here was. Was Piper right? Did he apply the framework correctly, or didn't he? Because that's the crux here. And at the minute, the silence is deafening in a sense, because Jakob Piper's being hung out to dry a bit. You have to say that as rugby fans, nobody wants to see that as a red card. I think that is a fundamental truth, that nobody wants to see that as a red card. Yes, we have to protect players, and that a lot of players are getting concussion, and there's a lot of lawsuits knocking about now regarding the game, and there could be a lot of money paid out, and that needs to change. But if you're giving that as a red card, then I don't see how the sport can continue into these circumstances, because that was completely accidental. Freddie Steward had a millisecond to react. There'd been a knock-on which changes everything. And also, if you are just going back to Jakob Piper, in terms of the framework, he said absolutely no mitigation. I mean, I actually thought that Hugo Keenan did drop. I did think there was a dip, actually, a late dip from Hugo Keenan, which, considering the fact that Jakob Piper should have used contextual judgment to note that this was completely accidental, and that Freddie Steward was not turning his shoulder to shoulder charge someone, as the suggestion and insinuation was. Given all those facts, when you add in the knock-on, when you add in the slight Hugo Keenan drop, I think all of those things can add up to quite a strong mitigation. There doesn't necessarily need to be one thing that mitigates. You know, you can have several different areas that all add up to mitigation. And I think even a yellow card would have been harsh.
Just to add to that, I think there's often this argument about slow motion replays, isn't there? And actually, we shouldn't necessarily have multiple angles and repeats of slow-mo replays of incidents like that, because it can cloud your judgment in one way or another. I can't remember from at the time whether an actual live sort of replay was shown to Jakob Paper when the incident was being reviewed, sort of in real time.
I remember Luke Pearce doing it a couple of times, saying, can I see that in real time?
Because I think actually if you view it in real time, you do appreciate more that it is purely clumsiness at worst, really, from Steward. Slow motion, sure, you can tick all the boxes and get to a red card quite easily.
But you could probably do that a million times a game.
How it did that. So I wonder, this argument about should we be reviewing things in live as well as slow-mo, I think that's actually a really strong example of something they need to think about, because I don't think you give the red card if you look at it in real time.
No, and they also made that decision very quickly. I thought they came to that decision very quickly. Marius Jonker, the TMO, was very quick to come in and say there are no more angles. And then it seemed like his mind had been made up that quickly. And Nigel Owens wrote about this in the Telegraph a few weeks ago, about how speed of decisions is all well and good, but you can't sacrifice accuracy for that. And I feel like less use of the TMO is what we need to strive for, but make sure that it is for the key decisions and you take your time over those key decisions. For instance, in that first half, Jakob Piper reviewed a potential knock-on crossing penalty scrum,
which had been called in either by the touch judge or by
which had been called in from an Irish box kick, a potential blocking line from Anthony Watson. We had to go upstairs to review it. That is not something that we should be going upstairs for. A marginal blocking call.
Less than delighted with that.
Quite. And so what I would say is take that out, play on there, and spend the time that it took to review that call looking further at the Steward, at the potentially game-changing, Grand Slam-defining, potentially, incident that happened at the end of the first half, and make sure you get that call right. Because I think, whatever the laws are, whatever the framework is, I think as rugby fans and as a sport, no one wants to see that as a red card. Even people who are completely on board with sending people off for accidental collisions to the head. I mean, we've been told that if it has to be foul play. That's the first marker, that's the first indicator for a red card is, was there foul play? And if there wasn't foul play, it's not even a penalty. So once you start at that, was there foul play from Freddie Steward there? Being honest, I think as trying to be as impartial as we can, I would say no, there was not foul play there, because it was completely inadvertent. There were so many mitigating factors, and it happened so quickly that I would say there's not foul play, which means it's not even a penalty. It looked ugly, and it looked worse in slow motion, and it's a shame that Hugo Keenan had to go off for HIA and might have, suffered a head injury. But these things might happen accidentally in rugby matches, and we need to get to grips with that, I think.
I want to make 3 really quick points. So the first one was that Piper said in the current climate, and so the kind of landscape
always makes me think of weather.
Yeah, but he made this point, and to be fair, Scully and I, as soon as it happened, and as soon as it happened, Freddie Steward went, oh, as in put his hands out and towards Keenan, going, oh my God, I've hurt him. Me and Scully said he's in trouble. They're going to go as soon as they go to the replay, and as soon as it is determined as foul play, it felt like a red card. Second point was that, bizarrely, as Steward was going off, he sort of said, I can't put my body in any other place. And Piper went, well, you can sort of, and then this is terrible podcasting, but he sort of moved his shoulder and said, you can sort of not do that.
It's really unfortunate that this is a Yaka paper incident involving an elbow after the 2019 World Cup, the elbow image and all the Wales fans. Sorry, Charlie, and you fine.
And then the final point was that the only thing I can really remember that it reminded me of the most was actually, ironically, an incident involving Steve Borthwick and Kevin Sinfield's Leicester Tigers, which is the Guy Porter sending off against Clermont last season, when he's pressed out of the line, not looking at Fritz Lee at all, and the pass has sort of gone over both of them, and all the time he's looking at the ball, and there's been a head clash. Fritz Lee, blood all over his face, has gone off for a HIA. Porter got sent off, I believe, but he also got a 3-down-2 ban. So after and I remember the press conferences in the week sort of asking Steve Borthwick, saying, you're going to defend, you're going to contend this, aren't you? Because it's not a tackle, it's just and he did actually exactly what he did at the weekend, which is sort of go, that we're not going to comment on it until the disciplinary process has played out, which is happening tomorrow night, Tuesday night.
Yeah, to say, just a final note on it, Freddie Steward's hearing will be in the next couple of days.
Fascinating.
Look out on the website to see what happens there.